Well, hi there, racing fans, and welcome to another Winning Ways show where Paul and me are in the hot seats and just been firing it up in Cape Town.
Yeah, wonderful to go down to a sale. It's now officially the Metropolitan Week, as Dean Caname would say. It's the
Metropolitan Week. The Metropolitan Week,
Metropolitan
Well, you
Week.
know why? Because he's a member of Metropolitan Golf Course. And it's not called the Met Golf Course, called Metropolitan.
I didn't know he's running a club.
Yeah, no, a lot of his mates hang out there.
Okay.
At Metropolitan.
All right, so it's a big week. It's a great race meeting, and all roads lead down to Kenilworth for this Saturday for great racing. But there was great excitement, which we'll touch on later, with regard to the CTS sale which took place. And of course, we'll be talking about the big sales coming up in February, Val de Vie as well.
Yeah, don't miss Val de Vie. That's going to be a super one. It's middle of February. And let's go and have a look at our 3 to follow. Well, what an advert, and thanks to Maritzfontein, and very sad time for them because their champion stallion, Fort Wood, passed away on Saturday morning of a heart attack, and that's really terrible news.
Yeah, through absolutely sad news. He had been there since '94, a great stallion. I think, James, you got the stats. He had about 583 winners.
Yeah.
And quite a few Group 1s, James.
74 stakes winners.
74 stakes winners.
Huge, phenomenal, and 15 individual Group 1s. And obviously, the 2 champions, Dynasty, who's just been a revelation at stud, and Horse Chestnut, who, you know, unfortunately went and stood in America, because I think if Horse Chestnut had stood here, he might easily have been a champion.
He's starting to throw very good horses, but a sad day for them, and we spared a thought for them losing such a super stallion. When he came out here years ago, people said he was going to be a big stallion, and he turned out to be.
Well, what was so fabulous about it was that his first runner was Horse Chestnut.
Yeah,
and
right.
Harry was there. Harry was very ill, and he'd actually kept himself going to see Horse Chestnut run. Mike did the job, got him on the race course first time out. I think Johnny G might have ridden him first time out.
He might well have.
And he dawdled in, absolutely dawdled in. 5 furlongs at Turf and Team.
And James, I think his only defeat was his second start.
Yeah, and you know what, he got beaten?
Clifton
King.
He got beaten by 2 imported horses.
Clifton King won his sprinters to a great turf. I was talking to one of the doyen of horse racing in Cape Town. He said Clifton King was the greatest sprinter he ever saw.
Gee, well, that's a big statement, because there's been some bombs to come along, but our thoughts do go out to Maritzfontein. But let's go on to our 3 to follow, and James, our first one has got a beautiful name.
Zabba Dabba Doo.
Full brother too? Yabba Dabba Doo.
Oh, you're obviously a Flintstones fan.
A Flintstone, you got to be a Flintstone,
Fred Flintstone, was he your hero?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, if he'd grown a beard, you would have looked a bit like him.
That's right.
Yeah.
he was built more like Phil Giorgio than me.
No, definitely. But that's because you eat properly. Phil Giorgio eats rubbish. I've never seen a man eat more rubbish in my life.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. And Zabba Dabba Doo, it's bred by Himmel and Arder. Well, that must be, it can only be David Hepburn Brown, given it that name.
This is a JPEG, James.
Yeah, JPEG. Really nice run outside of a Jalad mare. Let's go and pick it up at the start. They go at Kenilworth at 1,200 meters, and let's go and pick it up there.
Yeah, here we can see Zabba Dabba Doo's coming out. It runs up the middle of the course eventually. Your hot favourites down the inside is a horse called Music App, and I was listening to Stan Elliott, who I always like listening to, saying that this is as close as you'll get to a certainty. Pierce Stratham riding the winner, Daryl Hodgson down the inside. But the horse we found makes its move out the middle, out of the form now.
Yeah, it's just out of picture. You'll see it in the pink colours, but the winner is on the inside. And Stan is right. Stan is the best reader of a race there is. He knows what can win and what can't win.
I love listening
to Stan. It's in the pink now, just inside the horse with the sort of light green colours with the white cap. And starting to make a move now, Zabba Dabba Doo, but he's got too much to do. There's no way he's going to make it.
Music App has set itself home with Stratham. It looked very hard to oppose. Now, Cosmic Code runs on very well for Spooky. Spooky Humby too. And Spooky likes to progress his horses quietly. It's the dark horse up the 3 off the left at the stage. Runs a very good race.
Watch this horse. He's on the second from the left in the white colours now, starting to run on. And this really runs a good race. A really lovely start, first start for them. And it's called the Flaming Flamingo Syndicate. Jill Crawford's the nominee. I can imagine how many Flaming Flamingos this lot drink. Yeah. Can you imagine?
Is it the name of a cocktail?
Yeah, well, what else?
Got to be.
If it's not the name of a cocktail, we'll find a cocktail to make.
That's right. A Flaming Azzy if you drink that. You know, I can imagine it's got everything.
Only if you go down to the Britannia and have a curry.
Yeah, great curries, James.
Then
great
have
curries.
The flaming everything.
So that's Zubba Dubba Doo, the first one we found for you from the Flaming This One Syndicate. And well done to Brett Crawford and of course Pierre Corne Orfe.
Right, well, next time he'll get a little handier, or in the race it will run a lot better. Yeah, it will win. Captain Song, the next one, we go to Turfentine and pick us up. This was the third race at Turfentine.
Yeah, this
first
is
race
the
at
horse.
Turfentine. Sorry, first race at Turfentine, 1,000 metres.
They moved him down. He's actually the horse next to one that's high. He's coming out of trap 5. And gets a good break. A lot of money came for this.
Actually.
He was trap 4, but they moved them all over.
Moved them all over.
So he's in the blue colours. Now what happens here is Sap San and Miracle Rising dominate early. In yellow is Sap San, who can go on out clear. And through the middle we've got Miracle Rising. These two go very quickly. And the horse we found, Captain Song, who had found good money support, he's a 2.4 million yearling, gets pushed along and only really gets into it very late, but a good debut.
Yeah, he's a Highlands bred. Funny enough, he's by Captain L, as you say, out of an APND mare. And this is a very nice horse. And he really now gets the wake-up call, but he's got no chance with these front horses. The course is running fast, and they're on their bicycle. Yeah,
the front two are flying. It's a good race between Miracle Rising and Sapsan. Sapsan grabs the edge for David Nievenhuizen and Carl Zechner late in the race. But as you'll notice, the third horse is staying on nicely for a debut run. This has to improve a long way.
Oh yes, he next time out should be absolutely home. And I saw Anthony Delpeche riding work again.
Wonderful to see that. I spoke to him. He starts again on Friday.
Well, the best part about it, now we'll start seeing some action there. I think that while they've been battling, like most of us do, as far as riders are concerned, the horses have been battling. Now we'll see Anthony back in the saddle. We'll see some fun.
And Michael flies back tonight to Dubai. He'll keep us up to speed from next week onwards. Well, I did manage to have a chat with him. He flies back tonight. Okay, let's go and have a look at the third one. And this is a horse that's had racing before, but we picked him up on his first win and said this was a horse to follow. He's been off for 420, I think.
420 days, over a year. Willow Magic. Go and have a look at this one. This is
a superstar, this horse. He's coming back in a 5 furlong against horses that can run. He jumps very well. Julius Mariba gets the ride on him. And the speed balls around him. Funny enough, doing it for Dan, I think gets left and that runs second. But as they beat him for speed, he sort of falters and falls back by about a length or two off these early pacemakers. But when Julius asks him to run in the blue sleeves, have a look at this performance.
Yeah, this is just breathtaking, and I'm sure that they'll go for the computer form sprint on this run. You know, I don't know what the plans were, but this looks like a computer form sprint winner. Here, you've got Valberg going very fast in front. And here he just quickens up and puts him to bed. This was a fantastic win.
Yeah, this is a superb performance by a champion, no doubt. It's a Group 1 winner. He's Bud Dubawi. And James, the good news, I brought the half brother for 28,000.
Well, you're a very lucky man.
Lucky man, but look at this performance.
Very, very lucky.
Lucky. Look at this performance, James. Paralysed him.
The best part about this performance is Grease Paint ran very close in the big sprint, the Labello sprint last time.
Yes.
Got beaten 2 heads, I think. And on that form, the way this horse beat them, going to take a good one to beat him in the computer form sprint, I can tell you. That was
he's going to have to lock horns with. Mary's Flying Machine.
Alboran C.
Yeah, that's who's going to have to. So it makes for great racing.
A few of them are going to lock horns in that, you know. Captain of All might go up for that.
There, Louis' horse, he ran a good race down there as well.
Very good race.
Very good race. So
there's some good sprinters.
It's going to be a great sprint this year.
Yeah. So keep your eyes open and your ears close to the ground as far as the computer form sprint's concerned. And we're going to go and have a look at Blast from the Past, where we've got the 2014 J&B Met.
Now Headstrong sees daylight and he rips through. Headstrong, much the better on the day. but Espimante hits the front in the Epitome Challenge. And ladies and gentlemen, it's all Espimante in the final 50.
Europa Point comes into the lead now, and it's Europa Point who sails on by, and Well Wish is going to win it and win it well. But Ilabella's in a race of her own in the South African Oaks, and she won by 7.
.2,000 meters, all clear. Racing in the JMB Met from the 2,000 meter mark. No worries on the far side, began quickly, so too did Hill 54. Royal Zulu Warrior on the rail is also pushing forward, so too Punta Arenas as they link onto the course proper. Then comes Yorker racing next, and behind that comes the white gap of Do You Remember? Master of My Fate in the blue and white colours. He's settling to race about 8 lengths off that leader. Jet Explorer on his inside, and Cape Town Noir is 3 deep, pushing past runners down the back straight. Next it's Wiley Hall. He's also on the move outside of runners. A length and a half away comes Lake Arthur on the inside of the grey King of Pain. 3 deep on the outside. We got Ice Machine, Awesome Power. Jackson, he's content to race back, 1 from last. And sitting at the back we got Hot Ticket as they leave the back of the track behind, rolling to that turn with 1,200 meters left to travel. In front it's Hill 54 that takes the JMB Met field onto the 1,000 meter mark. He leads the way by a length and a half, and no worries. He's racing in second, a half a length back on the inside, Royal Zulu Warrior. 2 further back we find Punta Arenas. Then comes White Line Fever. Cape Town Wine, the yellow colours, he's on the rail and 8 lengths off that leader. Next it's Wiley Hall and Yorker. Do You Remember? Behind that we got Jet Explorer. Master of My Fate is a dozen lengths off that leader, Lake Arthur. Ice Machine, Awesome Power. Behind that we've got Do You Remember? Then comes Jackson. He's cornering at the back as they straighten up. In the JMB Met they got 550 meters left to go. Hill 54, he's hanging towards the stand side rail. No worries on the inside. Then comes Royal Zulu Warrior, Punta Arenas. Yorker gets going towards the inside. Cape Town Noir is up the middle. Master of My Fate into the clear flashing. They fanned right across the track. Hill 54, Yorker. Between runners we've got Master of My Fate getting going. Down the inside we got Ice Machine. It's Hill 54. He's finding another gear, and Hill 54 is powering home to conquer the Met. Hill 54 from Yorker. Then we had Punta Arenas, Master of My Fate behind that. Next in running we had towards the inside Ice Machine.
Well, there's no doubt we have some superb jockeys in this country, but this guy is up there with the best of them that we've ever seen. He
great
is
rider,
fantastic.
Great rider. He didn't know it didn't hang, he took it there.
Oh, no, he's got a plan for everything.
Yeah.
He's got more plans than the plan
the local
master.
town council.
Yeah. I know, the town council's slow behind Marcus. Marcus's plan for everything.
A very good race, and I reckon there's 6 or 7 Group 1 winners in that field. It was a classic field. I was telling you earlier, James, about Hill 54.
Yeah, what were you telling me earlier? You know,
About
you told me
Claverflay.
such a lot. Okay.
Okay, you must learn to take things in.
Yeah.
Claverflay.
Yeah.
So,
apparently you
they've got
went
a hill.
there.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's a beautiful hill. They've got 5 palm trees, and alongside it 4 palm trees.
What's the significance of that?
Hill 29. That's right. You know, it's fantastic. They call it Hill 29 with 5 palm trees and 4. Lana Ann did it for John. It looks very, very good.
She is the creative one there.
No doubt. No doubt.
You
just got to look at John's hairstyle to realise there's no creativity.
She created his hairstyle.
Did she?
Yeah, there's no doubt.
But as I say, a lot of good horses there.
Picking on the Costas now, because you know there's a whole lot of them, and they're a big bunch of boys. There's Charlie and Graham and a couple of those.
They're solid citizens.
So listen, I don't. Yeah, get on the right side of them again, because you know what? The next thing you start picking on Little John.
Yeah,
there's another called Nick. Okay, I don't want to start.
Yeah,
with
I don't
him
want to
either.
start with him.
Yeah.
No, they're my mates. But
Lucky for you.
Hill 29, there we go. Hill 54 won it. Well done to Vaughan Marshall, and of course Marcus Ingrid Ewerster and Derek.
And Marcus.
And Marcus. What a ride by Marcus.
Yeah.
He really rode that well. But
now let's just have a quick word about the Met this year, because we might as well chat about it now.
It looks to be a very good race. I think the horse of the year will bounce right back. Legislate will bounce back. I think he's a very good horse. You do not bury a champion on one run. I think Futura is an outstanding prospect, and I think Of course, Louis the King going over that type of trip too is extremely effective. If there's rain, Louis the King gets a bigger chance. But those three do stand out. But when you look beyond that, James, that's when I pass it on to you.
Yeah. That's when you pass it on to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be with Walter. I reckon Walter will sneak in somewhere. I think that horse Helderberg Blue ran a fat race last time. I think he'll be right there. He's my player of the day for the.
Well, if you have a look at Punta Arenas, you've drawn 16 last year, ran a great third.
Look, he's got to just make sure he keeps the jockey on his back.
That's true.
You know, he loves putting jockeys on the rail. That's his game.
No, but I think it's going to be a very exciting race again. There is Snaith's got that Dynasty 2 had a long time.
Dynastic.
Dynastic. He won well the other day. He could be on the up.
Arian.
Yeah, we're in a very good Group 2 the other day. These horses are good horses.
Is that called Arian or Orion?
I'd go with Orion.
Is that so? Do you remember the one that Jackie Bell trained? I think it was Jackie Bell trained.
Yes, correct. July horse.
Yeah.
Correct. Ran on the White Silk.
Yeah.
No, I do remember it. And I think it'll be a very interesting race, but if I had to be put in the corner, I think it'll definitely
You'd come out boxing if you
I'd put in the corner, come out boxing.
Yeah.
I say one of the top three will win it. They're all classy individuals.
That's very informative. People are really looking
James,
forward to hearing
it must be
nail
15.
your colours to the wall when one horse.
One horse?
Yeah.
I'm going to go back with the champion. I'm going back with the horse of Snaith's.
Well, I'd love to see Louis win it. Because I think he's just the champion.
And Brett Crawford, I'd like to see him win as well.
Futura's always been my horse. So we've had this argument
I'm going for
before.
Legislate.
Yeah.
I'm going for Legislate.
I don't think Crawford can get beaten 3 times in a row with a favourite. You know, he'll be beaten the last twice in a row. You can't be that good that you can get beaten 3 times in a row.
Yeah, he turned it around in the Queen's Plate. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. No, listen, Brett's a great mate of mine. They all are. But I really think the big horse can bounce back.
I'm impressed with you. You've got a lot of good mates, eh?
Yeah, well,
I've got one mate in this whole
James.
world, and that's you.
Thank you, James.
Thank you.
It's very kind of you.
And I'm glad you shook my hand on it.
No.
Even Raymond Rogers hates me.
No, everyone loves Raymond, though.
Yeah, everyone loves Raymond, but he
So,
hates
James, just as you had a go at me, now my colours to mast, I'm going to go with Legislate. You're going
I
with?
said Futura.
Fair enough. Okay.
How many times?
Twice is good for me.
Start odds odd if I carry on like this.
Well, that's good. That was our blast from the past.
Right, and we're going to go now and have a look at the plum of the week.
Black Jaguar comes out for a run. Uncle Tommy comes in, and it's Distinguished Tree at the front. Eddie Sweat on the outside, Captain's Daughter, and Uncle Tommy starts to warm up now. Distinguished Captain's Daughter, and here comes Uncle Tommy. And Uncle Tommy comes forward to tackle Eddie Sweat. Uncle Tommy, Captain's Daughter the outside, but Uncle Tommy's going to win it. Uncle Tommy, Captain's Daughter second. Third will go to Eddie Sweat, and then came Distinguished.
Well, he gave the second horse about 12 kilos, Captain's Daughter. She's got a merit rating of 93. It was very, very interesting, this, because this horse ran to his sand rating. His sand rating is 114 in winning this race. He was an absolute certainty. If you believe, like I strongly believe, which the poly track is more similar to the sand than to the grass. I think that's been proved over and over again. There are a number of handicappers out there that won't agree with me, but I think that it's coming to prove this. Black, what do you think?
No, you could be right.
And
so I see that he found support this winner, Uncle Tommy.
Yeah, he found plenty of support, but you could have backed him at 7-2 on Interbet initially. He ended up 15-10 with the bookmakers. Could have got 2-1 at the off on Uncle Tommy. And if you go with that theory that the sand rating is more like his rating than the grass rating, you had to back this horse. He had a 114. He was up to 121 at one stage, this horse on the sand.
Yeah,
as
very
his
good.
merit rating. He's a very, very good horse on the sand. He came from off them, made a hash of the race early on, and absolutely murdered them.
Yeah.
And to give 12.5 kilos to the second horse is a lot of weight.
A lot of weight, yeah.
That's 2 stone. For those of you that want to work in the old system, we're going to go and have a look at current affairs.
$1,200,000.
Right, welcome to another edition of Current Affairs, where we had one race down in Cape Town, which was a stakes race, and with a Grade 1 race it was, and turned out to be a cracking race for the viewer. And we've got some local news and some international news. But let's kick off, James. What do you say we kick off with the race?
Yeah, I think it was a very good race. It was marred by a very bad start, and you know, the problems at the start, just
especially in a dash,
they're just unacceptable. And apparently there were problems with the breastplate and all types of things, you know. And then the horse came back, and you know, to travel all that way and have all those things go wrong with you.
All the costs involved.
It's aggravating business. It can drive you up the wall. Yeah. But let me tell you, it ended up being a fantastic race, and certainly well worth having a look at. So let's go and pick them up at the start, second time round.
Gates Fly racing from that 1,000 metre mark, and Norman's Dwelt as the pens opened. Castle Thorpe also not that well away. Alboran Sea and Trip Tease, these two began the quickest. Along the inside of them we got Daring Dave. Next it's Carry On Alice, and Happy Forever is racing in the middle and he leads that group. Astar's also tacking over towards the inside. Captain of All is racing along the inside of them as they settle fully into stride. Head towards the 500. Trip Tease and Alboran Sea. Daring Davis along the inside. Happy Forever deeper out. Then comes Captain of All creeping closer. Teves towards the inside with Carry On Alice. Next we got Copper Parade. Astar to the stick, and Fly By Night is into the clear coming up the middle. 200 metres left to go. Alboran Sea kicks foam along the inside. Trip Tease up the middle. Captain of All is finishing, full of running in the middle. Alboran Sea, Captain of All, these two to the wire, very close. Maybe Captain of All on the line over Alboran Sea. Then came Carry On Alice.
I think to a person, everyone agreed first time they saw it that Sean Cormack had got up on Captain of All to deny Alboran Sea. But James, the camera went in favour of the Flying Filly.
Well, she had her nose right down on the ground at the finish, and the other horse's head was up. And when you got your nose down like that, you're getting the maximum stretch, which Waishong got out of her. And the most important part about this win is that it is reckoned to be Mike de Kock's 100th Group 1 winner.
Fantastic.
Now, to train 100 winners is a lot, you know, for mere mortals like us. To train 100 Group 1 winners is just, it's
fantastic,
mind-boggling,
you
know. And congratulations to him and his team and the way he's put it all together. I did phone him, James.
I phoned him and congratulated him because I thought it was just an extraordinary feat. And he's always been a man who's gracious in defeat. First to compliment you, so he deserves all the success he can get. And well done to Mary and Michael Javitt. Mary this horse has given them now their second Group 1. Yeah,
it's quite interesting the colours that they've got on this filly, because they're a sort of mixture of Mary's and Michael's colours. They've got the orange, which are Michael's colours, and a spot in the cap, and the sort of black, which are Mary's colours. So they probably made up a set of colours to race this filly together. And she's by Rocker Gibraltar, which is quite interesting that she's so fast, you know.
Very good. And the runner-up, Captain of All, Honour and Defeat, ran a great race, the Captain and beaten a whisker. So the front two were brilliant runs. Carry On Alice, again, another Group 1 winner.
Well, she's shown that Alboran Sea and her, there's not much between the two of them, you know.
I think she might need the extra furlong, especially with the tailwind. Even Trip Tease, the conditions suited, as you say, James, very fast tailwind. They ran it in 56 and change. Yeah,
Teves ran a good race. I just thought it was a very, very good race indeed. And, you know, the Cape Flying Championship, it's always a good race.
Always a good race. A hard race to win. And was proved again going right down to the wire. Well done to Mark de Kock and his team, and condolences to the runner-up. It was just a fabulous, fabulous event. That was the only stakes race we had this week, and down in Cape Town. So we were all building up towards the Met, James. But I've just got a couple of stats I just want to read out to you that from the CTS sale, they had a very, very successful sale, 120 million turned over, James. And Dynasty, 24 million for the Dynasties, James.
Yeah, 1.4 average and 1.4 average for the Western Winter. You know, his last crop going on sale now, he sold 10. There was a VAR that sold for 4 million rand to Amanda Skiffington, which is quite interesting.
Very nice horse.
A very nice horse indeed.
I think Dr. Insan and his mum bred it.
Yeah, Olden Stud. And she bought it on behalf of the people that own Toronado. So yes, that's English connections.
Toronado, he's gone to National Stud.
Yeah, he was...
the main man for the National Stud was out as well.
Wasn't he trained by our man?
He was trained by
Richard Hannon Jr.?
Richard Hannon trained it, yeah. But I'm just looking at some of these other horses. His first season stallions, James, give me the green light. Very good average of over 300. I think Pathfork at Curveball averaged 350. Gitana Ananda 162. I'm just looking at the first time. Bolt Silvano 250.
Pathfork was very impressive.
Very impressive. But what was Pathfork? 491,000 average. Fantastic.
Season's high. They were very nice.
Quirari, James, also up there as well. Good to see that they were supported. Canford Cliff's only the one, and so got a million for it, but there was only the one horse. But good to see, James, and it means there's 10, 15 stallions here who can throw you big horses.
Well, the top buyer was Marcus Jooster, Mayfair Speculators. They spent 21 million on 15 lots. So, you know, there was, it was a very good sale, up 17% on last year. And this bodes well for Val de Vie, you know, which is around the corner.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful setting and should be a very good sale too, because the bloodstock, when you start finding people like Amanda Skiffington arriving in this country, and there were a lot of others, Peter Doyle, they were big buyers, BBA Ireland was
Andrew
there.
Stroud.
There were a lot of chaps.
Tom Goff.
Tom Goff, just to mention, we might have left someone out, but we don't mean
John Kilbride came over. I'm trying to think of the guy.
David Allen's, you can almost say that he's an overseas guy.
What about Shanahan? Shanahan? Yeah, he was there. He's the big man at Coolmore.
And Deanne Nagel, they were
there. So there was a huge international interest.
I think it's just phenomenal that we're getting these people to come and to our shores and show this interest in our horses, even if they buy them and leave them here and let them race. They say it's so cheap in their currency to race.
Good place to come on holiday too.
Ssure, fantastic.
Was good to see. A very good sale all around. And let's say Val de Vie's up next. And if the trend's anything to go by, it's its first sale there.
Well, it's the first sale at Val de Vie. Yeah.
Val de Vie.
A couple of quick things left. Hurricane Fly won his 22nd Group 1 race.
Amazing horse. Amazing. You just think about those stats. 22 Group 1s this horse won. He's an 11-year-old. Walsh rode him again. He looked like he was in trouble down the back stretch. He came through and won. He's won 10 at Cheltenham, Group 1s.
He won his 5th Irish champion hurdle in a row. That's ridiculous.
They say it's better than Istravak.
Yeah.
So this is a superstar. And he's still racing.
Yeah. And talking about other champions, Abel Friend is the champion in Hong Kong at the moment. He's just doing it. He won the Stewart Cup for Moore and Moreira.
Voted the 3rd best horse in the world, James.
Yeah. Well, what do you think Variety Club was? Tie with him.
Yeah, that's right.
Tie 3rd with him, Variety Club. So no wonder people are coming to buy our horses. You can buy a horse like Variety Club in South Africa. Abel Friend cost a fortune. He was a $460,000 yearling in Australia.
Very good.
So it's 4.6 million rand or.
And he won easily, James.
He won very easily. Just one horse. We're getting to the Kentucky Derby time. It's all the build-up of the first real race in the Kentucky Derby. Is a horse that might actually end up winning it. A horse called Upstart. He won the Holy Bull on Holy Bull's 24th birthday. So the horse is still alive, and he's at Old Friend's Holy Bull. It was on his birthday. Rick Violette and Ortiz Jr. They won.
Holy Bull. He was gross, if I'm not mistaken. He was a very, very
beautiful
good
horse.
Do you know he ran in the? I'll think of the name of race.
The Haskell or the?
No, it wasn't Haskell. It was an early race that Horse Chestnut was going for. Horse Chestnut won the Brohard and was going for the Dun.
Yeah.
The Don or the Dun?
Don.
The Don. So he was going for the Don, and Holy Bull was hot pot favourite. He broke down on the back stretch. He broke down on the back stretch, and people said, "Whoa, this is not going to be a good result." You know who won the race?
No.
Cigar.
Yeah. Okay.
He went 16 in a row.
With that Cigar, we got to move on, because the best part of the show is coming now. We have got Chris van Niekerk talking about lots of things, but the most interesting thing is listen to what Chris van Niekerk says. He has a lot of runners. when they get beaten? What does he do when they get beaten?
He doesn't phone anybody.
He's not interested. He says it's over and move on. He says it is
wonderful trait.
That to me is the epitome of what an owner should be. When he told me, I brought tears to my eyes. I thought, geez, this is the type of man.
No, it does. Listen, I've trained for Chris for years. A wonderful man. If a horse gets beat, regardless, he doesn't phone you.
Yeah.
If they win, he phones you and congratulates you. Yeah. He's a unique man, Chris.
Yeah. Well, he's very unique. We did a 25-minute fantastic interview with him. Let's go and have a look.
And going for 1,200,000. Sold for 1,200,000.
Well, when you folks have watched this, the CTS sale will be done and dusted, and I'm sure it will be with record-breaking numbers. And no one better to chat to on Winning Ways than the chairman of CTS, Chris van Niekerk. Nice to have you in the studio.
Thank you, James. Appreciate it.
Beautifully set up this.
I think the staff have again done a great job. I mean, the hall looks remarkable. Stables seem to work. The horses are being looked at, so all under control.
You as a man who loves racing, has a huge string of horses, how does this sale actually affect you?
Well, in two ways, because in a sense, it's a bit of a dichotomy. In a sense, I'd like, from a buying point of view, personal, to buy horses at a reasonable price. From a selling point of view, I wish the sale is a bomb, and the prices are much higher than last year. So, with mixed feelings.
Going back in your racing career, because you like to buy horses at reasonable prices, and we've noticed over the years you've bought some wonderful buys. You have a great team around you.
Yeah, I must say, I mean, in the core of that team, from a selection point of view, is Sean Terry. He has, to my view, a remarkable ability to see past the horse at yearling stage and maybe see a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old. And we have been very fortunate. I mean, we have not, I think if you look at the average prices we pay versus what I guess could have happened, we've obviously missed many along the way because we didn't want to go at the high prices. But if you look at our average input cost, then the record is not bad.
It's certainly not bad. It's very good. It's phenomenal because if you take a look at the money that you spent a lot less than a lot of people that haven't been nearly as successful as
I think it suits me that way.
Because of the finances or because you like to show everyone up?
Finances.
Good answer, Chris. Going back to the beginning. I know it's well documented. You phoned 3 trainers and you end up getting hold of Sean.
Yes,
I supposedly was one of them.
He was the only one who answered the phone. I'm not going to mention any names, but he was the only one who replied.
I will tell you at the outset of this interview, and you should know, I'm supposedly one of those guys that never answered the call that Chris van Niekerk made to find a trainer. It was probably the luckiest thing that ever happened for both of us, and I'll tell you why. And I'm interviewing you, so but I'll tell you why. I couldn't have given you the service that Sean Terry's done. He has been a phenomenon, and you've made a man from a battling trainer into one of the most respected and well represented trainers in South Africa.
Yeah, I think my role from the time when we met in terms of, shall I say, make it possible for him, facilitating the purchasing of more horses was an aspect of the whole story. But I think Sean himself, made himself, because I think he is a very good trainer. He's a hard-working trainer, and he's a progressive thinker around the training of racehorses. The relationship is very good. It's now endured for in excess of 14 years, which I think, as the horse industry goes, and trainers and owners, I think is one of the longer-lasting ones. There's complete trust, which I think is important, and I allow him to do his job. I phone him only when we win. When we come second, I don't phone him, and I don't phone him if nothing happens.
It's a remarkable trait. Most people that I know in this industry like to know what went wrong, when something went wrong, and it's very difficult to tell them that something went wrong.
Yeah, I've learned over time from a business perspective that, you know, you can have many stories as to why the dog died. The point is the dog is dead. Let's rather talk about the future, rather than trying to analyze as to what went wrong and what could have gone wrong and what could have gone better. To me, it's a waste of time.
When you win, do you celebrate in the win? Do you, wherever you are?
Inside, I celebrate every win. Yeah. And that's what I sometimes proud of myself. Because I thought maybe over time, you know, if you've had a few Group 1s, then that is the only thing that'll count. But it's not so. If I win a maiden, it is a remarkable experience from an emotional point of view.
Do you watch all your horses run?
I try to. I can't get there physically because of, you know, other commitments. But I try to, you know, either on TV or try and get to the course.
What is your strategy as far as, there are people out there obviously watching and saying Chris van Niekerk very successful. What is your strategy as far as buying horses is concerned?
Well, first of all, leave it to Sean, and people who know him will realize that the page, the pedigree comes second. He sees the physical specimen first, makes up his mind about that, and then we would then apply, you know, the pedigree, the breeding side. He would have a short list. We would go through that short list. There was a time when we had a bit more time, one would actually physically look at his short list. I haven't got time this time. And we will then decide which other horses we would seriously want to bid on, and then play it by ear from there, because I have a philosophy: what I'm meant to get, I will get. And don't feel sad about the ones you miss.
So you put a strict reserve on how far you're prepared to go?
Yeah, Sean would not agree with that statement because he says that's not true. Yeah. I often go a little bit higher than what we intended to, but that's part of the fun, you see. It's part of the bidding process. For me, a sale is so exciting. I don't want to miss that part. That, to me, the adrenaline, the kick, see people bidding against one another, the excitement gets me. And I end up paying more than I should.
All right, well, let's go back to early on, or certainly in the middle of your career. There was a certain filly that I think Sean was desperate to buy, and you didn't bid on it, and he ended up buying it.
You're referring to National Colour?
Yeah.
It was strange. It was on the Sunday at National Sales up at Gosforth Park, and we had done in the early afternoon what I was going to do up to the Sunday, because you remember the sale those days also on a Monday, and there were one or two horses on a Monday that I still wanted to have a serious go at. So I had sort of relaxed. So we went outside with the horses circle around. I bought a beer and I was talking nonsense with a bunch of people around me. And this horse had been on his list, and I took it off because, you know, the legs weren't looking too good to me. And then the next thing he says to me, just look at this horse. I said, who are you talking about? He said, National Colour, just look at that horse. I said, Sean, look at the knees. He said, forget about the knees. Look at that horse. Anyway, the horse went down through the chute. The next thing I see, he's bidding. And actually a bid falls on a horse. We're still outside. I said, what horse did you buy? He said, National Colour. I said, who did you buy her for? He said, I'll find somebody, you know. I said, for goodness, I'll take her. Under protest. Yeah. And probably one of my best horses to date. Courageous horse, as you know, won in Dubai.
Took you to Europe.
Came second in the Nunthorpe not run at York, because York was rained out for the first time in history, ran at Newmarket and got beaten on the line.
Wasn't there a false start as well?
In Paris.
Yeah.
False start. That's
Yeah.
remarkable. And she's now, of course, breeding in Australia.
Yeah. And you breeding with her in Australia?
She's now a Claverflay property.
Yeah.
But thank goodness I share in that venture, so she's still around.
Okay, so let's move on to Claverflay. Now, you ended up getting involved there. So now you weren't just happy buying their horses, you thought you better be part of the team.
Absolutely, and I was very happy being invited to be part of that team. A remarkable friendship between Marcus, Bernard and myself has developed. And of course John Costa, who runs a very good operation. And that friendship has started through the horses in a sense. You know, I got to know Marcus the first time when he was a customer of mine. And later then Steinhoff bought the business from me.
What were you selling him? You were selling him board or something?
Yeah, you know,
very good make
particle board
furniture.
and MDF and such things. Yes, yeah.
Who was doing better out of that deal?
Always them.
I thought you might say that.
Always them.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, but through the horse, this friendship of Bernard, Marcus and myself have actually grown, and it's remarkable to be with guys like that.
You guys are very similar in your outlook to this business. You all treat it as a sport and probably your major hobby.
Well, it's my only hobby. Unlike you, I don't play golf.
No.
I'm not good at that. I tried once in my life and it didn't work. I understand why you guys keep coming back, because you can't believe that a little white ball can mess you around like that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's my only hobby. And sometimes the way the industry goes and the way things need to be done in the industry, one sometimes forget that it's just a hobby, because you get involved in a little bit more serious matter. But yeah, it is a hobby.
As you say, you get involved in more serious things. Racing Association, you're involved there?
We used to be on a board. We're
Yeah.
no longer there, but certainly still involved with Pumalela, still involved with Kenilworth Racing.
The trust?
The trust, we've stepped down now after, I think, what did we do, 9 years or whatever there. I left it in good hands.
You did your time with all these boards. Did you find them onerous? Did you find them difficult to work on?
No, not really. I think you always find good people to work with. And despite what one hears, what one reads, there's actually a lot more goodwill in the industry amongst people wanting to do the right thing for the industry than what meets the eye. Because I think sometimes the differences of opinion and maybe the interference of egos and emotion sometimes detract from the fact that we all just want to make it better. And that gets lost sometime through, you know, the printed media and such things. But under all of the, if I can call it politics, we all have one desire, is to make this industry stronger and more successful.
You then obviously moved on to this project, which we're now sitting at this facility, Cape Thoroughbred Sales, and you're the chairman of this business, and you've been very innovative.
Yeah, again, I think it's a product of the people around us. You know, if you think about just, again, the friendships and the thinking, and people who think outside the box, you know, and not just keep on doing what you have been doing in the past. It's enjoyable. But again, the aim is to make it better for the industry, make it better for the breeder, and hopefully the owner, and you know, such things. So that's what our aim is.
You know, there's a lot of discussion out there as to what type of player Cape Thoroughbred Sales is, and you know, you have the old established Thoroughbred Breeders Association. They're probably feeling quite nervous about you guys. Do you have any sort of takeover plans, or, you know, is that in your makeup?
I think what one needs to understand in the first place, that all us breeders, and we sometimes play dual roles, more than one role, breeder, owner, such things. All of us breeders are members of the TBA. And the TBA is a very necessary organization, absolutely. It's not just an organization that should be done away with. I mean, you need to have breeder affairs looked after. And that role is very important. So there is no desire, need, or objective of harming the TBA. What the talks have been about, and I personally spent 18 months plus negotiating, talking with the TBA to see if we can't put one sales company together for the country. Because we believe you should actually separate breeder affairs from a sales company. A sales company should be allowed to be run professionally, profitably, hopefully, but certainly innovatively, and set up the kind of show that I think we have now showed that we can do. And that was the objective.
Has it had the desired effect, Chris? That's you know, the question on everyone's lips. You've now been going 3 years. Are we getting closer to that type of finality?
On a single sales company?
Single sales company?
I think, in fact, over the last maybe 6 to 9 months, we've moved further away from it, unfortunately, through, again, I think some unfortunate statements were made in the press, and there's no particular parties to be blamed here. We all play a role. And that's what horse racing, unfortunately, does to people, is that you can meet the same person in a, shall I say, in a normal business environment and be very rational and very logical, yet you step into the realm of horse racing, the emotions get a little bit more involved and rationality goes out the window, and I'm one of them. I mean, the way I buy horses sometimes, that's not rational at all. So we must understand, it is an industry, a business of passion, horse racing. And that will play a role when you try and do things or don't do things. But I think we are probably now further apart than we were maybe 18 months ago, in my personal opinion.
You've seen companies run as opposition all over the world. You talk about, you know, Goffs and Tattersalls and Doncaster Sale Company, and in Australia you've got Inglis and Magic Millions are the two big ones. Can we not run on that basis?
I think our market is
not big
too
enough.
small. We have a very small market, and I think the country would be much better served with a single sales company doing the best for all. I mean, right now the proliferation of sales, it is sort of getting to a little bit ridiculous. And it's all part of the competition, and competition has never been bad, by the way. And I think the creation of CTS in the beginning has been good for the industry. Not only from what we do, but I think with respect to the selling arm of the TBA, they raised their game as well over the last year or 2 or 3.
No doubt.
So, from that point of view, CTS has added value.
Let's get back to your sale here, and this is the flagship sale on CTS. You have these incentive bonuses, $1 million races, which seem to be self-funding. They're funded by the vendors, aren't they, really? But they're hugely innovative and a huge attraction.
Yeah, if you take the original $1 million, which now will be run next year, over 1,400 meters, one race for $1 million, if you had to pay that money out and all the other sales races, and you stop, then it's not self-funded. You need to continue over time, in fact, and you're going to run it for 7 to 10 years, and you probably still have a residue of debt left at the end. But we can live with that.
Yeah.
The added bonus for the 2017 2 races now, that clearly is not funded by anybody, and we have to take that risk. Clearly one can insure it, but that itself is costly.
People don't understand what you're talking about. I think it's just been announced, so hopefully we'll be able to get it out in the public now. You have now, in 2017, 2 races. Will you run me through it?
Yes, and it will be run in Johannesburg. We intend to move the $1 million around the country. Yeah. You know, next year, the first one will be as you know, at Kenilworth in Cape Town. And then the year after, we'll have now 2 races, a 1,200 and a 1,600, which I think
mixed.
That change, yes, mixed. I think that change has been well accepted. People prefer that, and hence our statement last night that we need now not to buy 1 horse like we did last year, we need to buy 2 horses this time. 1 for each race.
Wonderful marketing.
Thank you, thank you. And So the $1 million for the races is now split over the 2 races, obviously. Right? So it's still $1 million day. However, in the event that an owner or group of owners, but exactly the same combination, owner and group of owners, win both races, we'll give him a bonus of $1 million.
It's hard to comprehend.
And that is a part of certainly not funded by
certainly not self-funded by entry fees and whatever.
No, that certainly is not.
An interesting point that I read in your conditions of sale, which I don't know if it's well known, but you have a condition in there that says if a horse that's bought on these sales is sold again on another sale, not a CTS sale, it is then not able to run in these races.
That is what we have, yes, that's what we've done.
Why did you put that in?
Simply from a purely competitive point of view. You know, we really like to keep putting up the best sales, the best quality. That's just a normal marketing approach.
So the guy who pays here, if he sells his horse on, he's not going to be able to run in your race.
Yeah, but we address it up front, so everybody's clear about that.
No, 100%. Yeah. But that's the point.
Absolutely.
As far as the sales concerned here this year, I see a lot of new international blood. I see people like Amanda Skiffington here. And have you gone out there and set up these people, tried to get them
absolutely. I think Adrian has done a particularly good job in his trips overseas and people who are helping us in different parts of the world to convince people. And I think this year I get the impression, and we'll only know by tomorrow evening whether it's worked, that the people who are here from overseas are seriously looking at horses to buy and not just coming to visit and enjoy Cape Town weather. So I think that is encouraging.
Are we able to, we're chatting to Ian Sanna, which we're going to put on the Breeding to Win show, about trying to get horses out. Is it still that imperative that we get horses out this country?
The single biggest issue from a commercial point of view for South African horse racing are the restrictions against the movement of our horses. The matter is serious, it's very serious. And I think we are developing very seriously diverse points of view on this issue. Let me give you a small example. I find it difficult to understand how we are going to convince the other part, the rest of the world, to accept us and move easily when we can't even move horses within our own country satisfactorily. I'll give you a very small example. In December, you could take a horse from Randkiesfontein and race at the Vaal, take part in the race meeting. You could not take that horse from Randkiesfontein and go to Cape Town.
Why?
Because there was an outbreak near Johannesburg of horse sickness, and there's this restriction of 40 days or whatever.
Makes no sense.
However, listen to me. You could take a horse who just participated with you in that Vaal race from the Vaal, stationed at the Vaal, and go to Cape Town. Now the logic of that restriction escapes me, and somebody needs to explain that to me. And we're meeting with Professor Sanna tomorrow, and there are many questions, and I know that the scientists are still, and other people are looking for money to ease the protocols, to make it easier for us. This industry must have spent, over the last 5 years or so, 25, 30 million on the subject. And I'm afraid to say, I don't think we're any closer than we were 5, 6 years ago, in my personal view. This is not a CTS view, this is my personal view, as an owner and breeder. So there's some serious questions to be answered here. If we have got these own restrictions, we are trying so hard, apparently from my point of view, to please certain institutions overseas that we're harming ourselves. And I do not think that the solution is a scientific one. I believe the solution is a political one.
What about a practical solution?
Well, I think it's going to be politically practical. Because I think you can have all the best tests and you can all the best science, but we need a political solution where our country and another country agrees on movement of our horses, and the state vets get told what to do, not the other way around. But you know, it's ridiculous what is happening at the moment.
The way you've just explained it makes absolutely no sense. And
Certainly not to me.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it makes any sense to anyone. The big point, and the whole point with African horse sickness, which seems to have been completely lost in the quagmire of all the discussions of how many days and this and that and the other, it can only be transmitted by colicoidy, by midge biting an infected horse and taking it to a non-infected horse.
Absolutely.
Now, surely that's got to be easy to get around, Chris.
And there was, when we tried to move one of our horses from Cape Town to, from Johannesburg to Cape Town, we offered to have the horse tested in Johannesburg, with that quick test.
A PCR, yeah.
PCR, that you know within hours or whatever what the horse got, and to test the horse again in Beaufort West on the way down. That was rejected. So now, it tells me, although we're trying to advertise this new testing method, we don't believe it ourselves. Certainly not our veterinarian services. They don't believe it. So I'm saying we are no closer.
It's fascinating chatting to you. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but I have one final question for you. If you had a wish for 2015, what would it be in the horse racing business? Not as far as your business is concerned.
Yeah, can I make it 2 wishes?
Sure. I'll waive the one, you got 3.
First of all, is to resolve this issue around the protocols and the movement of our horses. Can you imagine if you can remove the restrictions which, with respect, I think are political rather than scientific, so you can move your horses out of here freely, or shuttle stallions in here freely. Spoke with some of the overseas guys yesterday. I don't want to really mention their name, but they find it ridiculous what's happening. And our industry will be booming. Absolutely, that's one. The second one, clearly, I hope that we can find a little bit more cohesion and maybe some solutions on the sales side and how we run sales of horses in this country, rather than have these lines, divisions happening. Those will be my 2 wishes for this year.
Well, I think we should have a wish for Chris, because we wish you would win another July this year. And
that would be great.
You all the very best and the most success that you wish yourself in racing in 2015. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Chris van Niekerk, what a wonderful man. And we are gifted and blessed in racing to have people of this ilk on our type of business that we love and adore, which is the horse racing business. It is fantastic to have men of vision and men that want to get things sorted out. From us at Winning Ways, we hope you enjoy the rest of the week's racing. See you next time.